Lichfield sees 13 members of one family lying down in fever. Reverend Mr. Fitzpatrick retires to rest at 3 o'clock in the morning and rises after a couple of hours heavy sleep. Dr. Donovan solemnly assures a public meeting that the people are dropping in dozens about them. Mr. Marmion says that work on the public road is even more destructive than fever, for the unfed wretches have not energy enough to keep their blood in circulation, and they drop down from the united effects of cold and hunger, never to rise again. Mr. McCarthy Downing proclaims a fact damning the character of the Skibbereen landlords. For 2 months past, the Secretary of the Relief Committee has been importuning the landlords of the district, and with what result, think you, reader? Out of 4 parishes comprising the Relief District, but 9 subscriptions have been received after 2 months begging. Dingle, County Kerry. The Reverend Mr. Gare of Dingle in a letter says, "The people there are dying by inches, that he wonders they are so patient as to lie down and die without breaking open the government stores, and that 2/3 of the population will perish if food be not cheapened there." The name of the Reverend writer is familiar to our readers in connection with the recent press prosecution. His wonder at the patience of the stricken wretches speaks volume for their condition. Crookhaven. A correspondent writing to us from this locality says there have been 16 deaths from starvation in this locality in the last 7 days, all leaving widows and orphans. Tracton. The affecting letter of the Reverend Mr. Corcoran will be read with deep interest. It informs us that 16 deaths from starvation have occurred in 10 days. This within a dozen miles of the southern capital of Ireland. Stretched on a bed of straw lies a dying husband and father, and grouped around him are a wretched wife and children who devour wild weeds themselves that they might leave the only remaining morsel of food to the dying man. Is this tide of horror to roll on unchecked? Will the imperial rulers of this slavish province wait until 1/2 of the Irish savages be swept away? For to this it will soon come.
January 10th, 1847. Melancholy indeed are the latest accounts from all parts of this extensive country, from Bantry, Skibbereen, Crookhaven, Castletown, and Tracton and Cork, and in Dingle and Kerry. The reports present the same gloomy features. The intelligence from these scenes of misery are summed up by the Cork Examiner as follows. The details from Bantry were reported yesterday. Skibbereen, in the parish of Kilmore, 14 died on Sunday. 3 of these were buried in coffins. 11 were buried without other covering than the rags they wore when alive. And one gentleman, a good and charitable man, speaking of this case, says, "The distress is so appalling that we must throw away all feelings of delicacy." Another says, "I would rather give 1 shilling to a starving man than 4 shillings 6pence for a coffin." 140 died in the Skibbereen workhouse in one way. 3 have died in 1 day. Mr. McCarthy Downing states that they came to the workhouse merely and solely for the purpose of getting a coffin. Another Mr. Clancy visits a farm, and in one house he administered the last rites of religion to 6 persons. On a subsequent occasion, he prepared for death a father and a daughter living in the same bed. Father Edward Waldron Brown, chilling describes the results of some evictions just before Christmas. It was the last visit from the sheriff here 2 days before Christmas Day, with horse and foot soldiers and a passing of men well paid for evicting starving tenants in temporary houses. These poor evicted people, 48 families, are wandering about at present as there is no room for them in the workhouse. As you will see, when some of them slept at night, I can only say it was not fit for pigs. Man made in God's image and likeness, he thus treated my fellow man, same by nature, but birth and fortune has made a distinction. The clergy, eyewitnesses of eviction, no longer mince their language. Archbishops flattery proclaimed an extermination going on under the protection of the law. Bishop Keating, forced by government pressure to censure a priest of his diocese for speaking out, both slightly in private, that all the priest was doing was protesting against the extermination. In private, even the Prime Minister denounced what he called the lynch law of the landlord.